IELTS Reading Lesson 4, Matching Paragraph Headings. For this type of question, you'll see a list of headings and you have to choose the best heading for each paragraph in the passage. Many people have problems with paragraph headings questions, so let's look at why. Well, paragraph headings questions are difficult mainly because the answers are not in order in the passage. So, paragraph 1 will not be heading 1, paragraph 2, heading 2. That would be too easy, of course. So some people search for heading 1 and they don't find it until the last paragraph. Imagine heading 1 is the last paragraph, paragraph 6 for example. You've read the whole passage searching for one heading. That's a waste of time. So we can't do these paragraph headings questions in the normal way. Starting with the first heading and searching for it will not work. I'm going to give you some different advice in this lesson. The other reason that paragraph headings questions are difficult is because some of the headings may be similar. So you might be tricked or confused between the words in two of the headings. We'll look at that as well in this lesson. And my aim will be to show you that a few simple techniques can help to make these questions easier. So let's look at those techniques now. The first technique, and this is very important, is do paragraph headings questions last. Do all other questions for that passage first. For example, if you see the paragraph headings section and then after it there's true, false, not given, or multiple choice or gap fill, do all of those other questions first. Why? Well, you will then become more familiar with the passage and it will be much easier when you return to the paragraph headings questions and look at them. You'll know a lot about the passage already and you might get some of the answers from memory. Even if you don't get the answers from memory, you will know something about a few of the paragraphs or maybe all of them already, and it will be much easier and much faster to do the paragraph headings questions at that point. The second technique is underline keywords in each heading on the list. And then number 3, then read the shortest or easiest paragraph first. You don't need to start at the beginning of the text with paragraph 1 or paragraph A. You can choose any of the paragraphs and match them with the headings, so why not start with the easiest one? Usually the shortest paragraph is the easiest, but if you've already done some true, false, not given questions or some multiple choice or gap fill, the other question sections, you might be really familiar with one of the paragraphs which had several answers in it, and you might decide to start with that one. So either the shortest paragraph or the one that you know best already, which would be the easiest one. And read at normal speed through the paragraph, the shortest, for example, that you've started with. Underline the main ideas in that paragraph. Compare with all of the headings. So you've read the paragraph, you've underlined a few things, you know what the paragraph's about. Compare it with every heading on the list. Just go through and look at your keywords that you've underlined. Compare that paragraph with all of the headings. And finally choose the best one. Put that as your answer. To show you how these techniques work, I'm going to demonstrate using an example test. So let's look at today's test question. First, print the worksheet if you haven't already done so. The test is on that worksheet. It would be a good idea for you to try it using the techniques that I've just given you. And if you have done it, you can check with my answers that are coming up on this video. If you haven't, follow the worksheet as we go through the rest of the video lesson. The first thing you'll see on the test is the list of headings. Here are the headings. We're not going to go through them yet. Jump over that and go to the title of the passage, which is the development of sanitation systems. And then if you remember the techniques I've suggested, the first thing you would do is do all other questions first. Now on the worksheet, there aren't any other questions. I've only given you the paragraph headings questions. But you might have noticed that this is the same passage that I used in the lesson about true, false, not given questions. That was the previous video lesson before this one. So if you've watched the true, false, not given lesson, you will already be familiar with this passage because you've done the other questions first. And so this paragraph headings section should be much easier. If you haven't done the true, false, not given lesson, don't worry, the other techniques will still help you. But my normal advice is do other questions first. Once we've done that, which you already have if you've done the true, false, not given lesson, we go on to technique number 2. That's underline keywords in each heading. Let's do that now. Here's the list of headings. And quickly I'm going to cross out this one because that was paragraph A given as an example. Number 1, poor sanitation a cause of health problems. 2, the first flush toilets. 3, wooden sewage pipes. 5, a new invention not widely implemented. 6, Americans use German technology. 7, the impact of wastewater treatment. 8, the need for increasingly sophisticated systems. 9, why populations grew. And 10, ancient sewers updated for modern use. 2 quick tips about these headings. First, don't worry that we've underlined so many of the words. Sometimes all of the words in a heading are key words, but we still follow the habit of underlining. Second tip, if you've done the previous lesson about true, false, not given questions, you might remember some of the answers already at this point. If one of the paragraphs is fresh in your memory, or you think you remember one of the answers now, do that paragraph first. Check it and get the answer. Then go on to the next shortest or the next easiest paragraph. Anyway, back to our techniques, and the next technique is start with the shortest or easiest paragraph. I'm going to say that that would be paragraph C. So let's look at paragraph C. Here it is, and we read it at normal speed and underline a few words to make sure we understand the meaning of the whole paragraph. So, Roman towns and garrisons in the United Kingdom between 46 BC and 400 AD had complex sewer networks sometimes constructed out of hollowed out elm logs, which were shaped so that they butted together with a downstream pipe, providing a socket for the upstream pipe. So if we summarise what this paragraph is about, it's about Roman towns in the UK, their sewer networks and what they're made out of elm logs, and the shape of them. Technique, start with the shortest paragraph, which was paragraph C, compare with all of the headings. So now we compare with the headings. Poor sanitation health problems? No. First flush toilets? No. Wooden sewage pipes? Yes. It said the Roman systems in the UK had sewage networks made out of elm logs. That must be wooden sewage pipes. Elm is a type of tree. Logs are pieces of wood. But let's check all the others. Was it about a new invention? Heading 5? No. Americans and German technology? No. Wastewater treatment? No. Increasingly sophisticated systems? No. Why populations grew? No. And ancient sewers updated? No. So the definite answer is heading 3, and we'll put that for paragraph C. Now we can cross that heading off our list and move on to the next shortest paragraph. Let's try paragraph D, and we'll read this and quickly underline the main ideas. In some cities, including Rome, Istanbul, and Fustat, networked ancient sewer systems continue to function today as collection systems for those cities' modernized sewer systems. Instead of flowing into a river or the sea, the pipes have been rerouted to modern sewer treatment facilities. So to summarize, some cities, and we've got a few names, the ancient sewers function still today, and they've been rerouted to the modern facilities. Let's keep that summary in mind and go back to the list of headings. Was it about poor sanitation and health problems? No. Flush toilets? No. New invention? No. Americans and German? No. Wastewater treatment? No. Increasingly sophisticated systems? No. Why populations grew? No. So ancient sewers updated for modern use? Yes, definitely. We had those cities, the ancient systems, the modern use, the rerouting. So definitely that is paragraph D. We can choose that answer and cross it out and go on to the next shortest paragraph. Paragraph E. Now reading this paragraph, you might notice straight away the words invented the first flush toilet, and you might then go to the headings and think heading number 2, first flush toilets. However, if you keep reading the headings, you'll also find a new invention. We had invented the first flush toilets, that is a new invention. So here we have one of those tricky questions where two of the headings are very similar and could be the answer. So between these two headings, we need to decide which one is the best. In fact, I'm going to give you the correct answer and then explain why now, because I think this is a difficult question that many people would get wrong in the test. They would be confused. They would probably choose heading 2 because of the clear keywords first flush toilets. However, the correct answer is in fact heading 5, a new invention not widely implemented. Let's look first at why that one is correct, and then we'll look at why number 2, the first flush toilets, was wrong. So heading 5 is correct because a new invention, we've got invented the first flush toilet, and then if we quickly check back, not widely implemented is the same as despite this innovation, most cities did not have a functioning sewer system. In other words, this new invention wasn't used anywhere else. It was only for Queen Elizabeth I. So that answer, a new invention not widely implemented, not widely used, is correct. But let's just check quickly why heading number 2 is wrong, the first flush toilets. Well, the first thing that maybe you noticed, you might have been lucky getting the correct answer because of this S. Toilets weren't mentioned, it was just one toilet made for the Queen. That could be one way that you got the correct answer. Another way could be that you noticed something much earlier in the passage, in fact in paragraph B. In the middle of paragraph B, I'm going to highlight a part that mentions flush toilets from around 2600 BC and also had outdoor flush toilets. So flush toilets weren't invented in the 16th century for the Queen, as we've seen in paragraph E. They were invented much earlier than that. They were mentioned in paragraph B. That tells you that heading 2 was wrong. And finally, let's look at why then it says invented the first flush toilet. Well, it's not the first flush toilet ever. It's the first flush toilet that released wastes into cesspools. It was the first toilet where the waste went into a pool. So that was quite complex, but you hopefully can see that the correct answer was 5. So I've put paragraph E next to that, and we can cross that one out. And now move on to the next shortest paragraph. I've chosen paragraph F next, and we'll quickly read through this and underline some keywords. The prevailing system was sufficient for the needs of early cities with few occupants, but the tremendous growth of cities during the Industrial Revolution quickly led to terribly over-polluted streets which acted as a constant source for the outbreak of disease. As recently as the late 19th century, sewerage systems in some parts of the highly industrialised United Kingdom were so inadequate that waterborne diseases such as cholera and typhoid remained a risk. Summarising this paragraph, we've got the growth of cities, over-polluted streets, disease. Some diseases were mentioned at the end as well, and the reason for the diseases was the sewerage systems were inadequate, not good enough. So growth of cities, pollution, disease because of the bad sewerage systems. If we go to the list of headings, Number 1, poor sanitation a cause of health problems. Well, that looks like it could be the answer. We saw health problems, diseases, definitely. Poor sanitation was the sewerage system was inadequate in most cities, and we had the polluted streets, so that definitely works as the answer. And in fact, that is the correct answer, so we're going to choose F for that. But it's always a good idea to check the other headings just in case. Number 2, first flush toilets, no. 6, Americans and German, no. 7, wastewater treatment, no. Increasingly sophisticated systems, no. And number 9, why populations grew. That one looks to me like it's there to confuse you. Don't be tricked by that. The growing cities was mentioned. We did see something about growing cities. However, it didn't tell us why. There was nothing about why the cities were growing. It was all about why the health problems occurred, why there was disease, which was because of poor sanitation. So heading 1 is definitely the answer. I've crossed out heading 1 on the list, and now we can go to the next shortest paragraph, actually one of the longest ones now because we're near the end. It's paragraph B. Higher population densities required more complex sewer collection and conveyance systems to maintain sanitary conditions in crowded cities. The ancient cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro of the Indus Valley Civilization constructed complex networks of brick-lined sewage drains from around 2600 BC and also had outdoor flush toilets connected to this network. I'm going to stop there and show you that sometimes, not always, but sometimes you're lucky enough to find the answer right at the beginning of the paragraph in the first sentence. Many teachers will tell you, or books will tell you, you can always look at the first sentence to get the answers for paragraph headings matching, but that's not true, as we've seen with the other questions. But in this case, we do have the answer right at the beginning. The first sentence tells us that this paragraph is about bigger populations requiring more complex sewer collection, more complex sewer systems. And the rest of the paragraph, we should check it, don't just read the first sentence. The rest of the paragraph is just examples of these places which did have complex systems. And if we go to the list of headings, it's not about flush toilets, it's not about Americans and German technology, wastewater treatment, it's number 8. The need for increasingly sophisticated systems. The need was required, sophisticated systems, complex networks. It wasn't explaining why populations grew either. So 8 is the correct heading for this one. We'll put paragraph B next to that. We can cross that one out, and I think now we're on to the last paragraph, paragraph G. The first comprehensive sewer system was built in Hamburg. In this one, you can probably see that we've got Hamburg, Germany, we've got the United States. So you might be tempted to go and choose this answer straight away. However, that would be wrong. If we look at this carefully, it says Americans use German technology. Well, does it say that they use it? No, it says the first comprehensive sewer system was built in Hamburg, Germany in the mid-19th century, and the first such systems in the United States were built in the late 1850s in Chicago and Brooklyn. It doesn't say that the USA used the German systems, the German technology. So that was a trick. If you carry on reading, you'll find the key parts later. So whereas paragraph B, we found it right at the beginning, this time we're not so lucky. The key information is here. Cities attempted to treat the sewage, and then a bit more. These public health interventions succeeded in drastically reducing the incidence of waterborne diseases, an important cause in the increases of life expectancy. So we've got the two countries mentioned, but what this paragraph really is about is when places started to treat the sewage to make it less dangerous, and the successes of that. The public health interventions succeeded, reducing diseases, increases of life expectancy. Looking at the headings, This one was wrong. It wasn't about using German technology. The correct heading is number 7, the impact of wastewater treatment. So the wastewater treatment caused a reduction in disease and increased life expectancy. That's the impact. So number 7 is G. That's the correct answer. If we were in an exam, that would be it. We've finished. We've got all the answers. But if you're practicing this at home, I always recommend that you check the keywords. Make a keyword table where you put keywords in the headings and the similar words in paragraphs, in each paragraph in the other column. I've already done this, and if you see the attached worksheet, if you've printed that out, you'll see my full keyword table for this particular exercise. That's the end of the lesson on paragraph headings, but before we finish, just remember these key techniques. 1, do paragraph headings questions last. It makes it much easier if you do that. Number 2, always underline keywords in each heading. Then 3, start with the shortest or easiest paragraph. Underline main ideas, compare with all the headings and choose the best one. You've seen me do examples of that, and I hope it helped you to understand how to do these questions in an easier way. As I said, a few simple techniques can help to make paragraph headings questions easier. In the next lesson, we'll look at another type of paragraph question, which is which paragraph contains. I'll explain how that is different from what we've done in this lesson, and I'll give you some techniques, and we'll look at a new passage for this type of question.